All right, so in this topic, which is should be Roman numeral 4, we're going to be talking about the decomposition of composition. So basically, it's kind of going backwards with compositions. We're going to rewrite a composition into two simpler functions. So the idea behind that is to take a composition and it's going to equal this f of x function. So this composition, when I do that, is going to equal rad 5 minus x squared, okay? So we need to come up with the g function and we need to come up with the h function so that when we plug in the h function into g, this is what we get. So this actually isn't too terrible of an idea. There are lots of ways to do this. So I would have to look at all of your responses individually and check them to make sure that they are correct. However, I'm going to give you one of the easier ways to approach this. All right. So the idea is on your original function f of x to figure out where the input is going to be. In this case, my input is x squared. So then that leaves me with everything else, which should be like my skeleton kind of thing, which would be my outer function. So I'm going to let my g of x be the square root of 5 minus x, and then my h of x function I am going to let be x squared. So that if I were to plug in this composition, I would be taking h of x. Let's just check it real quick. G of h of x, my h of x is going to be x squared, and I'm supposed to plug it into g. So I would have 5 minus and replace x with x squared, and I am good to go. There are other options. You could have absolutely chosen to do g of x to equal just the radical x, and then your h of x could then just be 5 minus x squared. That's also an acceptable answer. All right, so let's take a look at the u-try. All right, so, and just to bring your attention over here, there's a list of functions, and here's a list of domains that you might find useful to know going into those compositions, especially when you're trying to find the domain. So let's take a look at figuring out what could be our g of x and what could be our h of x in this case. So I'm going to approach it with the same kind of idea that I've got x squared as where my input's going to be. And then, oops, here we go. Everything else is just going to be like my outer shell. So 3 minus 4 plus x, and then h of x is going to be x squared. And I can check that by just taking h of x, plugging it in to g of x, and then that should match. The other option that you could do is, again, this is where it varies, is to just take, you have rad x, and then h of x would in this case be 4 plus x squared, okay? Another option could be 4 over 3 minus x, and then the h of x function would be the square root of 4 plus x squared, so that you're replacing that into that previous function. All right.